The following is a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club.
Hello and welcome to our broadcast of the 2023 Spring Chess Classic. My name is Julian Proleiko and I'm joined by Women's Grandmaster Tatev Abrahamyan. And let's go ahead and take a look at the standings for Group A.
Thank you everyone for joining us. Very excited to be doing this broadcast today. So in Group A we have a four-way tie between Sevian, Dariusz Swiercz, Christopher Yu and Yasser Quesada. And we have two players, Illia Nyzhnyk and Dardha, who are chasing them by half a point. So this is a very closely contested group. And in Group B, we actually have one sole leader, Gergely Kantor, with 2.5 points, with Felix Blohberger and Akshat Chandra chasing him by half a point. So this last round yesterday was actually a very bloody round, and we are left with one leader with 2.5 out of 3.
Let's go ahead and look at the tournament format. So they are playing game in 90 with 30-second increments for the first 40 moves. Then they will get an additional 30 minutes for the rest of the game after move 40 with a 30-second increment throughout the entire game. And the schedule for the tournament is they will be playing at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time every single day with no rest days. We will come to you 2 hours after the start of, 3 hours after the start of each round live with coverage of the games.
And let's get started and let's take a look at the pairings of today. And let's start with Group A. So is there a game that you're looking forward to seeing today, looking at this pairings for today?
Definitely, I'm looking forward to any game Christopher Yu is playing. It seems like he plays just psychotic chess every game, and it's a pleasure to watch him play.
And I did get to interview him yesterday, and we talked about both his yesterday's games and his run to that very exciting Sicilian. So it was fascinating to talk to him about that game, and hopefully we have another fascinating game by Christopher Yu. But our key matchup of the day is going to be between Sevian and Dariusz Swiercz. So let's jump into this and let's take a look at what is happening on the board. So we have Sevian with the white pieces. So looking at this position, what is your first reaction?
Well, I think it's clear that white controls more of the center than black right now because white has more central pawns, and this open F file might prove to be dangerous for black to deal with in the future. That said, black probably has the better pawn structure, so I don't know, maybe I'd slightly prefer to play white, but not by a whole lot.
So the last move was knight f3, so we can expect to see rook f3. We have a locked position. There's been move 21 about to be, and there have been no pawn exchanges. I'm actually wondering if g takes f3 is an option here with the idea of going f4. This might be interesting too, changing the pawn structure.
Getting even more central pawns even.
Yeah, there's a lot of central pawns here. So the position is very locked, but we do have a lot of exchanges of the minor pieces. Actually, let's see how we got here. So we have this 4-knight variation of the English with e4. So this move has been trendy. We saw this at the American Cup. Hikaru played it against Wesley in this position, so bishop b4 was played.
Yeah, actually, I would like to point out like a funny line. Instead of bishop b4, black has the option of playing bishop c5. And this is what I was hoping for when I was playing this variation with white. I only played it once. And then knight takes e5 is the move for white, with the point being that if you play knight takes e5, white will play the move pawn to d4. Now this is still playable for black, but black must play the move bishop to b4. But normally the reaction, instead of bishop b4, would be something like bishop d6 to support the knight on e5. And that would be like pretty good if white had to take on e5. But here white has the very strong move c5.
Oh, c5.
And I believe black is in big trouble here. You're just going to get destroyed in the center with the black pieces.
So you need to move this knight, and then you end up with something very unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a nice trick.
Yeah, but instead after d4 they go bishop b4, and it's just like a normal position.
So pawn to d3. The bishop actually doesn't get trapped here. Bishop lands on b6, knight a4. So the idea is to get this bishop and claim to bishop advantage. So rook b1. So not in a hurry to take this bishop. Bishop 3 takes. and bishops actually challenge each other. Knight d8. So there has been a game between Abdusattorov and Giri. So in that game, I was just checking it. White took on d4 and allowed this pawn structure change. And here, white played queen d3, allowing knight e6. So now if white takes, then the knight can take back. So instead, the knight returns.
Which would be a pretty severe positional concession. I think white would be mistaken to play this this way.
Yeah, we'll get very classical good knight versus a bad bishop position because the future of this bishop is not clear. Although we did talk a lot about the potential of bishops and like how players really favor this long potential of having a bishop. Something like if this bishop could slide back and play f4 and open the position. But there is no reason for white to allow this. Instead, knight c3 was played. h3. So, and then knight e2. So, but right now, actually taking on d4 and e takes d4, this bishop won't have anywhere to go. But black trades and white decides to take with the pawn. Of course, it's also possible to take this way, but f takes e3 changes the pawn structure. And I think there's going to be a big question about this h5 move if black is going to regret playing h5. I thought c6 would be more of a normal reaction to control this d5 square, but instead black chose to play h5.
Yeah, that's actually why probably white chose to play f takes e3 so that the knight on e6 cannot access the d4 and f4 squares. This change of structure oftentimes favors white if you can eliminate black's future knight jumps.
So knight goes to g5, and then now the queen reroutes to the king side. g6 is played, and we landed here. So actually, no, knight f3 is on the board. So white hasn't played yet. So white is still thinking. So there's, of course, 3 ways to recapture with the pawn, queen, and the rook. So I think it's a matter, I don't know if there's much difference between capturing with the queen and the rook. So I think it's a matter if white wants to play g takes f3 and change this structure and maybe go king h2, rook g1, rook f1, and f4, f5.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that queen takes f3 is just a worse version of rook takes because with rook takes, you're threatening to double your rooks on the f-file, whereas with queen takes, it takes an extra turn to bring the other rook to f1. So I think he's choosing between g takes f3 and rook takes f3, and not queen takes f3 here, even if objectively maybe queen takes is better than g takes.
Yeah, and this is actually a big decision to make because this will change the course of the game. And anytime we change a pawn structure, it actually, like pawn structures do decide where the pieces go. So this is a big consideration for white. And I wonder how black is going to react to this. So where is black's playing this position? Probably associated with a5, playing on this side of the board. So let's say b5. And at some point, especially with this pawn structure, black should try to play d5. And I think d5...
Yeah, I totally agree. I think if black can achieve d5 in a good way, then he shouldn't be too much worse. Just opening up the center.
Okay, so a big decision for white, I think, because this can really determine the flow of the game. And while Sam is thinking about his decision, let's take a look at the pairings in Group B and see what we have there. And what stands out to you in this group?
So obviously our key matchup, Gergely Kantor versus Akshat Chandra, is going to be pretty interesting because Gergely Kantor has clear first and Akshat is not too far behind with +1. So if he wins this game, he will have a role reversal. He will be at least tied for first, although this will be quite an ask playing with the black pieces against the tournament leader.
And let's take a look at what we have on the board. So looking at this position, looks like some kind of Queen's Gambit declined. What do you think about this position?
I prefer to play this with white. I like white's activity in these sorts of positions. I understand black has like this long-term potential with the bishop pair, and that's probably why the computer thinks it's pretty equal. But I've played both sides of these positions before, and I found just playing with white, it's so likely that, maybe not at this level, but at my level, I make so many mistakes with early that I would prefer playing with the initiative than the long-term potential of the bishops.
Is there some kind of hope of an attack with rook g3, queen h5?
Yeah, I think queen h5 is a really interesting candidate move right now. Although apparently not b5 is hanging.
So if b5 and we go rook g3.
I guess maybe you can just take on
Oh, now e5 is hanging, unfortunately, and we're not on time.
Otherwise, this might have been pretty strong.
So black's last move was bishop d7, attacking this pawn, and now white has a decision to make if they want to trade this really powerful central knight for this bishop, or somehow defend the pawn, although I don't see a very comfortable way of defending this pawn, because the rook cannot go to b3, bishop c4 looks awkward, so does queen b1. Doesn't feel like the queen wants to be on b1. So I would think taking on d7 is probably the most likely move for white. I don't really see a good candidate move.
Yeah, maybe we can take on d7 and then, oh, okay, b5 is still hanging, yeah. So take on d7 and d5 I thought was interesting, but I'm
It's a question of height. I don't think I can take back with the queen.
Why not?
Oh no, I don't have rook g3 ideas. This looked a bit scary to me because I didn't like allowing this. Maybe d5 here?
Yeah, I was thinking about this, but I wasn't
Oh, now
sure.
I don't have this. But
even still, we probably have some compensation if we just play like, I was thinking d6 maybe.
I just want to keep pushing.
But yeah. And black is also getting active, and if both players are active and one side's up material, well, well, your compensation is not going to be as strong as if your opponent were passive.
Right. Let's see how we got here and what was the opening. So white starts with d4, knight f6, knight f3, d5, and bishop b4. So we have the Rogozin, one of the sharper lines. So all of this is still theory. Castle, rook c1. Yeah, this is all still main line. Take c5. I remember there was, if this was the line where Giri had that game from Wiktanze, he won very quickly. I don't think it was this particular line. Levon Aronian is a big fan of the Rogozin. He likes to play these positions a lot. Knight e4, quite annoying move. Attacking the queen, pushing the bishop back, and now pawn takes. And white does give himself an isolated pawn, but if we look at the position, white is done with their development, and the rook is on c1, and black is lacking in development, so there is a lot of compensation, of course, for this isolated pawn, as we talked about it yesterday. When you do have this weakness of isolated pawn, piece activity is very important. And again, white has exchanged their light square bishop, their dark square bishop, and is left with their light square bishop, so the good bishop they're left with. And d5 can come at some point, but I think that's also double-edged because it does open the position and black does have the bishop pair.
I will say it just shows how strong bishops are in comparison to knights, because the computer assesses this position as equal, I suppose, by the bar, but like all of white's pieces are like super active and black hasn't developed their entire queen side. The computer's like, nah, the bishop is worth that much.
The bishops, yeah.
Yeah, the long-term potential is just that strong.
So before is played, bishop goes to b6, rook c3, also defends against any kind of bishop d4 moves. Now black starts to develop, and a5.
It's an unusual idea that white has played like rook c3 to d3. I actually haven't seen this idea in these positions too often. It's interesting.
So b5, bishop slides back, rook e1. So the idea is associated with playing d5. So knight e5 is played, which looks like a natural move, and now bishop d7, and we are in this position where we just looked at. Was there a moment where white should get in d5?
Yeah, I think instead of knight e5, maybe d5 was possible.
Immediately. So if takes,
even bishop takes maybe. Oh, even knight c3 also.
Yeah, I want to jump with this knight somewhere. Knight c3. Where does this queen go?
I was afraid of the. So your tactical point is after queen a3, knight d5, you have queen a. So queen a2, knight c7, and you're probably doing really well.
Knight c7. I might even have knight e7, but I think this should also be quite good. So your rook goes where?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so you're not going to play rook a7. So I think something like this is...
abandoning the back rank seems like suicide, right, at this moment in time.
But if you play here, now I'm pinning you. So at rook e8, I might also have some back rank issues, but I'm not sure how you're going to entangle. And knight d5, knight e7, winning a piece is also quite strong. So this looks a bit scary. I don't
Yeah.
think you can just abandon your entire position and go pawn hunting. That
Yeah,
looks a bit.
pawn grabbing too ambitious at this point in time.
So what can we do? Maybe if bishop e6, then knight takes.
The danger, I think, for white isn't so much that he's losing anything, but maybe we just are trading all the pieces and it becomes equal. Like if we go queen c5 or d6, something.
No, rook c3. Ah, rook c3 you can
we
just
can
take.
take, yeah. And if knight c7 here, then queen c7, and just all the pieces have been traded, and why is black worse? In fact, a3 is probably weak.
Yeah, here I might start to prefer black a little bit. So maybe I need to just leave everything as it is. You don't want to take. Wait, is this hanging?
Yeah, my knee-jerk reaction was that I liked white, but the more I think about it, the more I'm thinking that maybe black's doing pretty well.
Because you just don't have anything immediate, and black's position is quite solid actually. The pawn structure is solid. Black just needs a few moves to develop. So which is why I wanted to do something a bit more concrete here. Maybe so rook e1, knight f8. Knight f8. What can we do? I need my rook, but I don't even cannot get my rook here. Actually, what I need is a dark squared bishop all of a sudden. That's what I need. I need my dark squared bishop.
I think the reason why black's position is so passive is because he took that guy. With the dark squared bishop, I think white might be just winning.
So bishop d7. So I expect to see take. I don't think queen b1 will be played. So in queen b1, sometimes there's this funny ideas that black e1 puts the bishop here. So here might be difficult, but sometimes the bishop enters. It's like a French idea. The bishop enters from this side, but I don't think it's necessary to put the bishop on e8. So this pawn is quite weak, right? So I've seen this kind of moves too. But bishop d7 and okay, so we'll see. Probably takes. Which way are we gonna take with that queen d7, right?
Bishop d7 is the current position?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
No, queen h5. Sorry, bishop d7, I got lost in my arrows. And now maybe queen h5. I don't have rook g3 now. That's kind of annoying. But maybe something like bishop b1, rook h3.
Yeah, then maybe knight f6 could even be like strong. Actually, maybe if black isn't careful, we can play, like, is knight f6 an idea even without bringing more pieces into the game? Like knight f6 takes, queen h6, and rook h3 followed by bishop b1.
Okay, so if I pass a move, you want to give me knight and then?
And then queen h6. Like, maybe this is more interesting than it looks, because after rook h3, bishop b1 comes like right away, and we're immediately getting into black's position.
Yeah, and the fact that the rook is here might be annoying, because you may not be able to escape.
Like, maybe I'm even threatening like rook e6 or bishop e6, something to that effect.
Yeah, this position actually is starting to look a bit scary. So maybe something like this is, so he took knight d7, and also maybe not queen d7, but rook d7 looks a bit awkward, because then you run into knight c5, and knight d7 is also possible. Maybe this is, and then followed by knight f6, this also might be logical. Can I go d5 here?
Yeah, knight d7 seems pretty solid.
Maybe the knight jumps. White would love to play d5 at the right moment, because I really do want to take advantage of this rook and queen being on the same file.
For sure.
But I think we can move at other games, and so let's see what other interesting games we have here. So this position that
Yeah, these guys seem like they're going towards a draw, I think.
So we have bishop versus knight, rook endgame, and the position looks very balanced, but yeah, so there was a repetition. Okay, this game is actually over. This is a threefold. Okay, so this one is a draw.
Do you want to take a look at some of the games in the A group? Like
yeah, let's do that.
Maybe Christopher's game. I always want to see what he's up to.
I think might be a bit disappointed, as there are no pawn chains for a piece. Oh, he does have like a nice pawn chain. Okay.
There's
so
always some imbalance in the Christopher Yu game.
So here I think he's just up 2 pawns, so that's not much of an imbalance. So it's just 2 extra pawns. But okay, so this is hanging. So let's see what's going on.
I'm sure he's not complaining.
So it just looks very good for white. White just has a very healthy pawn. This pawn is very close to queening.
This looks like that Catalan line with an early knight takes c6 gone like horribly wrong. I don't know if that's what happened, but oh, it's not bishop b4 check. What I was thinking this came from was instead of bishop b4, it was like bishop e7, then bishop g2, castles, dc4, knight e5, knight c6, and then bishop c6. Like the structure is sort of similar. You get these positions later where black goes like e5, but it came from just a different line.
So it came from this bishop b4 check, bishop goes back. This looks like 94. 94 looks kind of a bit committal. So
94 indicates, I guess, you want to play some kind of stonewall with f5. I don't know.
Ooh, b6. Can I take?
Which is a pawn sacrifice.
So knight f6, queen goes to d3. What is the idea? Bishop b7, I guess?
So, during the US Championship, I saw Christopher Yu playing in the casual playing area of the St. Louis Chess Club, and he was practicing against this engine. It was a lobotomized version of Stockfish that only cared about material. So it's like very good at calculation. So it sees tactics, but it doesn't care about positional chess at all. So like in the opening, it thinks all moves are equally good because they don't hate material, right? It was just beating him like pretty consistently. I think he
engine was?
Yeah, the engine. So it would have nonsense positions and like just win up material. I wonder if this factored into his decision making, just winning a pawn for nothing here. But
he didn't take
compensation.
Oh, okay, he took on d5 first.
And then he took on
and then
e4,
he took
yeah.
here. So black's compensation is connected with having a bishop and this weakness of light square. But all the Catalan positions that I've seen wherever white does give up this light square bishop, there's actually, at some point they play f3 and there is no attack and no checkmate. So most of the time this is quite okay. So knight c3 and goes to e3. So what happened in this game, it's basically he took a pawn and stayed up a pawn. And f3.
I mean, sometimes that's how it is. Like the engine says you win a pawn and it's compensation, but you need to prove it. And here, if you're just up a pawn, okay, like I guess black can immediately get something back with precise calculation, but e5 mistimed and.
So maybe we repeat? Because in this position, actually, can I? No, I don't think I want to take with the queen. So if I take, how do you?
Yeah, e2.
King. Because I don't think you want to allow this, because now all of a sudden your king is very lonely here and your queen on the other side of the board. This looks a little too dangerous.
Missing the light square bishop isn't too good in that type of position, probably.
So is there no good way? Can I go? Bishop c4 is...
Yeah, that's what I was going to point out. Yeah, e3, bishop c4 might be awkward to deal with.
So if I take... First of all, are you trapping my queen?
Yeah, what do you... Where does the queen go after rook b8?
I take.
Oh, okay. But then...
No, then I'll go back to c3. So can you trap my queen here? Because the evaluation dropped, which tells me there must be something here. Rook c6 I take.
Maybe I go rook c6 and after queen a5 I play queen h3. Like I just play for the attack instead of trying to trap your queen.
Yeah, in that case I think rook b8 is strong. But wait, can I do this? Where does this queen go?
Oh.
Oh, I think this traps the queen. Okay.
But there are no more queen moves. Okay.
So he was okay with this trade, but not with this. So I think maybe he's actually playing for initiative here. Black that is. So bishop e3, a really nice move, and b5. Okay. So takes, queen d5, offering a queen trade. Queen d5 is a really nice move, centralizing the queen and attacking this pawn. Oh, maybe this is what Daniel missed. 94. But now we're not in a hurry to take because of the pin. So knight goes to e4, and now it takes. So in this position, queen went to d7. But if we trade, Oh, f5 also hangs after knight d4. This is quite sad.
Oh,
Also, the
yikes.
bishop doesn't have... I think if you go here, I don't take. I have probably knight f2, knight d6. I mean, this guy is
It
hanging. We're up a pawn. This is
looks
just very
really
bad. Instead, he went queen d7, knight c5. But at this point... So he's not afraid of giving up this pawn because knight d4, I think, looks very strong. And
Maybe-
do I have queen d6, perhaps?
Yeah, queen d6 looks good.
Hopefully I don't get mated. Okay, so if you take, this must be just game over.
Yeah.
And if the queen goes... queen doesn't actually have many squares to go to. Only move. But is this scary for me?
Knight f4 might eject the queen from h3.
Oh yeah, this you don't have time to take. Yeah, this looks quite nice. Although maybe we're allowing too much counterplay. So, but if not knight d4, maybe simply just queens. No, queen slides back, the knight jumps. So what can we do?
Can we start with c6? Is that interesting? Because if you play queen takes, I play knight d4.
So I don't have a way to defend my bishop. I guess I have. Oh, now this hangs too.
Yeah.
And if I jump to h3,
Knight d4 in any case.
and if here you go,
Queen f5.
oh, this is quite annoying.
Yeah, with the intention, if you take on f3, I'm hoping the knight d6 wins a clean exchange. Because if you take on e3, then c8 is hanging and there's nothing protecting it.
Yeah, this looks... And there's nothing to really worry about here because after check, we can just run this way and a rook and a bishop alone are not going to checkmate this king.
Yeah, black's down an awful lot of material.
So in this position, we're looking at bishop e2, but instead rook e8 was played, which is a tempo move. Queen d6 is really nice. Of course, this kind of a trade is just over. So
Yeah.
instead, the queen went to b5, and we're nearing the position with Sa. So knight d4 is the position with Sa, queen b2, queen b6. He really wants to trade queens. And I think here he's forcing a queen trade, right? His queen is trapped. So takes, knight d5. Was queen b6 the best way? If I go rook b1, you go here. Can I do something terrible to you? Knight f5. You know, but I look at this position and
Yeah, then
I'm also thinking something like this, and maybe your king will be in trouble. But okay, e2 is hanging, so...
I think even if queen b6 wasn't like the best objective move, he's just concerned that if queens stay on the board, something bad could happen to the king, and if queens are off the board, well, it's minimum 2 result position, if not just flat out winning for white. So
takes, knight d5, so the clock situation, 25 minutes against 10, 7 moves to make, not that many moves. So now actually, if I move my bishop, am I... Oh, my pawn is hanging, what am I doing? So how do I save my pawn?
It might be more interest, like bishop f2, knight b6, maybe knight c6 is an idea, just because b6 is hanging. Okay,
This is the idea, right?
Yeah, but
oh, no,
the bishop
defended.
still is, the bishop on a6 is defending c8.
So I go somewhere.
Yeah, actually, no,
Where do
it
I
just
go?
looks
Because if I go here, you
equal.
take.
No, but can you go to d7 and then just...
If I take...
And the bishop... Oh, wait, no. Yeah. Yeah, bishop b7, c1's hanging, yeah.
Wait, now I'm
Yeah.
the one who's in trouble because I'm pinned. Okay, so let's not do this. Okay, so in this position, what if...
Yeah, I wonder what his idea
okay, what
is.
if I take? So how do you take?
Yeah, and then rook a5 is a fork. So it attacks d5 and the a6 bishop, so it doesn't matter that e3 is hanging.
I actually didn't realize it's a fork. I just thought I should maybe start with rook c8. Okay, so then I have to take with bishop c8. And
Yeah, but now we can...
But now, okay, so no, this is still hanging, but let's see, if I go, let's say bishop f2, which I think is very logical, and just play this, 4 versus 3.
Right, but it feels like we should have had more than this, but I mean, white is up a clean pawn and can press, I suppose.
With opposite color bishops, a lot of pieces have come off, so I think black
Drawing
has
chances,
some
yeah.
good chances to fight. So that means that in this position, so, you know, like we have this evaluation bar, which of course influences our thinking. But during the game, maybe this just looks scarier. So maybe he just thought this is very annoying. E2 is hanging, doesn't want to lose this pawn, and wants to trade queens. But what else can we do if not? So this is hanging. E2 is hanging. Rook C2 is not a move. So Rook B1 is the only other move that comes to mind. It's a tempo move. So the queen moves, and now it just seems like so many things are hanging. So maybe I need to give up this pawn. Let's say I slide back. You take, and everything is defended. Right? F3 is defended, bishop defends the knight. Maybe rook b7. Not sure what Jisu choose.
Yeah, it looks. I'm honestly surprised that the eval bar is so high. Like, when I don't see anything concrete, and if there's nothing concrete, then why would black be worse?
Yeah. Well,
maybe.
this pawn is very strong.
If you
This knight is very strong. The pieces are just good.
If you take on e2 with the knight, then obviously rook e2 is like a problem. But
I don't know which. Actually, rook e2, I'm a bit afraid.
I was thinking you had to play rook e2 because queen e2.
Wait, apparently rook e2 is a blunder. Can I
oh,
go
you have queen c7.
Oh.
Yeah.
background issues?
That makes sense.
So instead, I have to take with the queen, but I don't like giving up my knight because.
That's true, but we do have this bishop versus knight, and the pawn on c5 is good probably.
Yeah, this bishop is quite strong. So
But
white cannot get mated here, really. So maybe this is an option. But I completely understand this queen b6 move because this queen is just so annoying here. But I wonder what he missed. So we have some more moves. So let me promote this. Wait, I have
so
to
he
promote
is
this.
playing this 4b3.
So where are we? So he took, he went bishop d2. So he gave this up. So he took, and here. So he is playing this. So which way will this bishop go? To c3 or c3, I'm assuming? Is there rook e3?
Yeah, rook e3 maybe.
I mean,
rook a8 you have to consider after rook e3.
Oh yeah. Rook a8, but maybe knight b6.
Rook b8. I think the bishop versus knight isn't actually good for black anymore with the pawns being all on the same side.
Yeah, usually when we have pawns on both sides of the board, the bishop is significantly stronger, but when we have pawns on one side of the board, the knight is doing much better. So we have this position on the board. Bishop can go to c3. I don't know, do I want my bishop on f4? Do I want on this diagonal? Like here, it looks nice.
I think both should be good, to be honest.
And white is going to just be pressing this forever. This is going to be very annoying endgame to defend.
Yeah, Christopher really, he has all the skills. He's incredibly good at this tactical chess, and now he is showing how to press a slight advantage with the white pieces.
I would say this is a big advantage, actually. A pawn. Just a clean pawn. So we have looked at Sam's game. So let's see. Oh, a lot of changes in this position. So he took with the... Wait, what happened? So he took with the rook. The knight went back. Knight c3, knight g5. So rook d1, preparing d4. Queen g5, offering a trade of queens. White accepts, and d4. So there has been a change in the pawn structure. But this makes me a bit nervous because, okay, if we ever trade, then this e4, e3 pawns are so ugly. So white just wants to keep this pawn structure static, doesn't really want these exchanges to happen. Like this kind of exchange would be nice, but we don't want to take on e5. And maybe at some point this could be possible.
I think white wants to play d5, c5 in a good way. Like if you can break through in the center, then the e4, e3 pawns start to make more sense. Obviously, you never want to play c takes d5. If white plays d5, then we would probably be much worse.
So if I go a5, b5, is this possible? And maybe something like rook c8 with the idea of taking?
Yeah, rook c8 looks like a good move.
Rook c8, let's say.
Maybe the other
very
rook
weak.
even,
Oh.
just so that knight a4 doesn't come.
And with the idea, I just want to take and claim that you have some problems. I think this position can also be dangerous for white because it feels a bit like an overextension maybe. Because it looks really nice to have so many pawns. This is what Christopher had right here yesterday. He
Yeah.
had like a5, b5, c5, d5. But sometimes these pawns can be overextended. So if I go something like this and open the c file, then it's going to be really loose.
I think black would be in a lot more trouble if there were more pieces on the board. Like black has done a good job trading a lot of pieces because white has more space, and black, so to speak, has a nice lack of pieces for his lack of space.
And another game that we have is Yasser Quesada. He is one of the co-leaders, but okay, the position that we have is completely equal.
Yeah, I don't foresee anybody winning this.
No, we're at move 41, so this pawn is actually indefensible. So I expect this to end in a draw. Would not surprise me if the players just agree to a draw because there is no 40 move, no draw rule, but we're on move 41. Okay, so I think this is a draw for knight g5, rook b7, and just trade everyone. So that will be the first result of the game after round.
So two of the leaders will draw each other, which means that that Illia and Yasser will not take a sole lead going into round number 5.
And this game between Yakubboev and Benjamin Bog. So what is going on? So 1, 2, 3. I have to count pawns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So white is up a pawn, and it looks like quite a nice position for white. This king is weak. This king is much safer. I think actually white has a really nice edge in this position. The last move was knight f5. Where did this knight come from? Oh, he just grabbed the pawn. Knight f5. So maybe there is dynamically somehow a way for black to win the pawn back. Okay, so if I take this, looks quite unfortunate because this king just in a box cannot move. This cannot be good. For example, if the rook goes to e5, I think this is already game over.
Yeah.
This is just unstoppable mate. So this cannot be allowed. So taking this also cannot be good because white is just up a pawn and this is hanging. So let's find another move.
Yeah, there was a game yesterday. I think it was somebody against Yasser Quesada Perez. Was it Luka against Yasser Quesada Perez? But there was this pawn on h6 that was, it was on f6, and it was really annoying. It was the same sort of situation. These major piece endgames, if you get a pawn on the 6th rank with white, there's always like mating nets to worry about.
So the queen has to move somewhere. Where should we move the queen? Not there. I don't know how it landed there. So we have to go somewhere to defend the rook. Somewhere. Where should we go? Maybe here, here, here. Not that many moves. So we have 1, 2, 3 moves.
Can we go to f8? If we can go to f8 and take on f5, then take on h6.
Okay, so the queen will go.
Well,
Why cannot go there?
Yeah.
Oh my god. So we go here, here, take on h6, king g2. Still, I think maybe a bit pleasant for white, but. So rook goes to e1 to f6. Start pushing this pawn.
yeah, still some pressure for white.
Yeah, I mean, next move, rook e6 is coming, right? And threatening to win a pawn.
Yeah, even though it's equal material, white is definitely the one on the better side of this because in major piece endgames, you would rather have the safer king in the passed pawns.
Yeah, I think white has a slight edge here, and the final position that we have to look at is Mishra versus Gledura. So in this position, what is going on here? What do you think? So we have an endgame, rooks and bishops. So material is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Material is equal. What was the last move? Bishop exchange is offered to get rid of this bishop. Again, we see an isolated pawn, but there's also the weakness of e3. And once the bishops are off the board, no, this is a repetition. That's why we have to look back. Okay, this is also a draw. Yeah, because once these bishops come off, then this e3 pawn will compensate for this d5 pawn. Both h3 and e3 will be very weak, so there'll be two weaknesses for black's one weakness, and this d5 weakness is much easier to defend. So
You know, weakness is only a weakness if you can exploit it, as you said yesterday. Yeah, so not a particularly bloody round from the A group. It's very likely that Christopher will take a sole lead, if I had to guess, after this round. At least he has the highest probability of doing so.
How did this knight land here? So we landed here, so bishop went to b4, we're saying, so h6, just making sure there's no back rank mates, rook a7, knight goes to e3, and I'm starting to see, okay, so knight e3, so I think he'll be thrilled with a repetition, but...
Christopher's probably not that nice.
So how does white make progress? So probably put a pawn on g4 against this pawn structure.
It's very convenient that our knight is on d4, so there's no knight c2.
Yeah, knight on d4 is such a beautiful piece. Hopefully I'm not blundering anything. Well, I think even if I allow this doesn't work out tactically.
Yeah. Rook a8 at the end is very nice.
Then we'll pick up a piece. So we reach move 40, although I have to say Christopher plays very quickly. And yesterday when I was talking to him, I asked him about that round 2 game against Mishra, because he was an hour ahead on the clock. And I said, like, why do you think you should have just thought about, why didn't you spend more time? And he said, yeah, at some point I probably should have. So he plays quite quickly, and he's going to get an additional 30 minutes. So he will have 50 minutes to his opponent's 37 minutes. So I expect this game to go on for a long time, unless Christopher plays very quickly. But I think he will take his time here trying to convert.
Yeah, on the one hand, when you play very quickly, you're more likely to make mistakes. On the other hand, it can be very scary to play against somebody playing like that fast, and you know, they just pass the turn to you constantly, and you're down on time, and then it's a tough position. You have no time, and they have time.
Yeah, it's
so
a lot of pressure when
yeah.
you constantly have to make decisions, and your opponent's playing fast.
Double-edged, definitely.
But I have to say, you know, when you're in a bad position, like a really bad position, and you're in time trouble, that's also psychologically can be difficult for your opponent, because they get like very emotional, and they don't know if they're playing on your time or in the position. And if you have some resources, you're a tricky player, you can swindle them.
Yeah, I think it was Karpov, he would put himself in time pressure on purpose when he was like losing to try to...
That's a trick that I've heard about from GMs before. You just, you know, you have to be resourceful in chess, right? It's a practical game at the end of the day, and that's a way to give yourself some chance. So we're done with Group A. We looked at every game. Let's go to Group B. So let's see if we have any updates. Oh, wow, we have a lot of updates in this game. So Rook E1 was played, Knight F8, Knight E5. So this trade happened. Now D5. He takes D5. Oh, I would be so scared to take this pawn.
Yeah, we analyzed this variation, right? It was ED, and then we had Knight C3, or was that in a different spot?
It was in a different position. It was before Bishop D7, I believe, because we had this Queen D8. But why not Knight C3 here? If Queen A3 cannot be possible.
Yeah,
no,
well,
actually it is possible.
I don't.
No,
yeah, we just win D7. Yeah.
And then you cannot really defend your piece, because I have both Knight E7, and I also have Rook C3, right?
Yeah.
I pick up
both of those moves look crushing.
And he took with the bishop, but now Knight E5 came with a tempo. And now the tables have turned, because now it is white who's coming under pins.
Yeah, and you probably just have to give up the A3 pawn, which is why, like if you move your rook off the third rank, like you go to D2, then I think Queen A3 is like legitimately just possible for black.
Yeah, because there's no Bishop F7, but there's probably, why did it drop? What's the problem here?
Bishop A5 is even stronger.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that just wins the game.
Oh, now we see this bishop coming into play. So that's the thing, right? Because this pawn in some way is controlling this bishop, and once this pawn moves, this bishop just becomes a monster. So, oops, I went back too far. D5 takes. Yeah, Knight C3 would have been a very strong, because it becomes a bit uncomfortable. Maybe he was afraid of Knight E5.
But even still, Knight D5, yeah.
And maybe now there is a pin. But the queen has to find a square, because here again you take. I run into this tactic already.
Okay, but
I can just move my rook,
yeah,
right?
like
because this is so defended.
Like Rook G3 is maybe hard to deal with practically.
Any of the squares. maybe attack. Because...
Yeah, g3 you don't want to put it on the same line as the bishop, but I was thinking that maybe it doesn't matter because the knight's blocking and we might have some tactical resources with knight f6 later. If knight g6 and rook g6.
I don't... Maybe I can just go back. I really like this knight here. Actually, this looks strong because now maybe I can take at some point. And I don't have to worry about any kind of pins on my queen.
Yeah, but in any case, the knight on d5 is very strong. So I'm surprised he didn't go for this. Like even the rook c3, queen c3 variation, you're probably not worse with white. And with what he did, I wonder, he definitely missed something. I'm just not sure what he missed.
I'm nervous to go into end games with white because this pawn might just fall.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm nervous about that. Okay, but bishop d5, can I see? So he took it, he took a minute to take, so knight e5 is played. And okay, with maybe, so here this just runs into bishop b6, forcing you back on bishop a5. And now the rook went to g3. He played king h8, just sidestepping any kind of adventures. And I think white's claim is that this pin is just going to be very annoying. And now knight c3, but now this bishop a5 is... But
yeah.
I mean, there's too many pins going on. There's this pin, there's this pin.
After bishop a5, there's a third pin.
Yeah, there's another pin. So at least he got out of 2 pins, right? From bishop and the rook. So king h8, very nice move. So f4 is not possible because there's a check. But can I attack this? Like rook e3 or...
Maybe just f6.
I wanted to win a piece right away, actually. Is it possible? If I take and go here, can you defend? Oh, yeah, bishop f3. How else can I attack this? I have I have such a nice tactic here. So you cannot take with the queen because mate, so you have to take with the pawn.
Yeah, and you collect both rooks.
I really stumbled into this tactic. I did not see it.
It's like a checkers tactic. You just take all the pieces at once.
This is like puzzle rush, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, rook d5.
It's very nice.
Yeah, this would be quite unfortunate. So how did we get here? We went bishop a5, and we played what?
So the leader of the tournament is in quite a bit of trouble right now. It's very likely to lose the game. Which is good news for the other participants because they have a chance to acquire the lead.
So after bishop a5, so bishop a5 you have to see that idea, which I totally saw when I went bishop a5. But after bishop a5, what does white do? Because it's actually quite a bit of pressure for white to find a move.
Yeah, and rook c8 is coming, queen a, like, there are improving moves for black in this position, even if you try to save yourself.
The problem for white is all these pins, you cannot really defend or reinforce the pieces. With black, I can at some point play f6. I can play queen f6 and move my queen out of the attack, still defend the knight. But for white, there is no way to move the pieces in a way that they still work together. For example, something like queen f3 I would love to play, but I can't. e5 is hanging, and as we saw, rook e3.
Yeah, everything is
it's not working.
Very awkward for white. And this is going to be a very likely role reversal. Akshat Chandra will be tied for first after this round, bare minimum. Yeah,
so he will actually overtake the leader, right? He was half a point behind the leader, so he will leapfrog him. So bishop a5 is on the board, and white is thinking. We see the players in the playing hall, and very uncomfortable position with 3 minutes on the clock. Akshat has 4 minutes. I have played Akshat several times, and having little time is not unusual for him. He does get into a lot of time trouble, as do I, so a lot of games get decided in time trouble. But this is very uncomfortable for white, because white actually has to find a move that doesn't immediately lose the game, which so the immediate threat in this position is rook c8 looks very strong, right? Is bishop c3? Bishop c3 is already a threat. So if we pass the move, which is not possible, well, okay, we did with rook e3, right? So the idea is to take on d5 and play that knight f3 move, which we found.
Yeah. So, and if h3 or something to defend against it, then I think rook a c8 is going to be really tough for, well,
Here it doesn't work
because you can play G or Queen F3 or Rook F3. Yeah.
Yeah, this actually defends, and now White is quite happy here.
But yeah, instead of Bishop C3, we can just play Rook C8, and I don't think White has a very good defense against that.
Because now what are we threatening? So we're just threatening just to remove the defender and pick up a piece, and this just looks over.
Yeah, like if you go Queen A1 or something, you're like, I'm very clever, I have defended all my pieces, then Rook C3 will come, and Rook C3, Bishop C3, Rook D5. And
it's about to make a move. Let's see what he's going to play.
Or, well...
Oh, you wanted to take, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So takes, but now do I have a 4?
Wait.
So knight F3, G takes F3, although...
I missed F4. Huh.
But okay, I mean, if you stumble into this position, you can do this, and then you still can claim a huge advantage here.
Yeah, although I wasn't winning a piece the way that I wanted to, which is unfortunate. But actually, that happens to me in a lot of games when I play low-rated players. I play like some tactic, it doesn't like win, but then like their positioning gets bad, and then I like got lucky and won anyway somehow.
So Rook A4 was played. I'm going to promote this. So what is the idea after? Because the thing is, when I take on C3, I'm also defending my knight. So you don't have something like Queen E2, Rook E3. I just simply take, and I defended my knight. So I expect Akshat to play Rook AC8, and this will turn the tables. It's actually a very quick game. We're on move 26, and things are going very badly for White. And he has 2 minutes, just a little over 2 minutes. Akshat has 3 minutes, but I think Rook AC8 is a very natural move. And maybe he's calculating something more concrete. But here our lines, wait, so if we take, do our lines work out here? Can we, there's some back rank issues, right?
So Rook D8, yeah.
And the queen would love to go here, but cannot go here.
So it's funny, if you play Rook takes E5, you're like, yes, I have both files controlled, but I can play Rook takes D5, and whichever piece you take, I back rank mate you with the other piece.
Yeah, this is fun information. And this H6 move, quite useful, because otherwise there'd be some back rank issues for black.
Make Luft, not war, as Ben Feingold would say.
Yeah, so maybe he's already calculating. Okay, so he's calculating this. I think he took on C3. No. Wait, where did my red box go? Yeah. Okay. I have too many variations here. I'm a little lost. No.
So he took on C3, and now we're expecting this Rook D5, Rook D8 variation, I guess.
Is there anything else? Can I play Queen D6 even? No, Queen D6 you will defend. No, I'm expecting him to play Rook D5 because I don't think he will take this.
Yeah, he has. I see on the screen he's played Rook D5. Yeah.
So Rook D5 played.
Very concrete.
So unpleasant when your position is bad and you have no time, unless you have tricks.
Yeah.
No, this and the bar tells us that this is the correct way of playing. So in this position, he has to give up the queen. But I don't even know how to give up the queen because if I give it up this way, I think I'm gonna lose. This is just a full piece though.
Yeah.
Queen and a knight for two rooks. It's not even equal.
And queens and knights generally work pretty well together, so.
Especially if it's an extra knight.
Especially when it's an extra knight.
So this will be our first decisive result of the round. I expect Akshat to convert this. Okay, he is down quite a bit. Okay, both are down quite a bit of time. So Gergely is going under 2 minutes. There's still a lot of moves to make to reach move 40, but with an extra piece, I don't expect him to have too much trouble. And I think Gergely is realizing that things are going very poorly for him. He doesn't have any kind of tricks like this because simply Queen D6 is enough, and then the knight will move. There is no.
Yeah, Akshat is looking pretty confident right now. He's sat back in his chair. It's all on Gergely to prove something, but I expect the game to be over pretty soon, to be honest.
So I saw 2 more moves being played. What was played? So takes.
Yeah, Queen D5, Rook D8 were the last 2 moves played.
They were played? Yeah, okay. I also see it here. I couldn't tell if it's our analysis.
I saw it on the screen, yeah.
Yeah, so he immediately plays Rook D8, and now 1 minute on the clock, and I think we can expect a result in this game very quickly. And I can see
Yeah,
Gergely suffering a bit.
yeah, we expect a result here any minute now.
A really nice result for Akshat, winning with the black pieces. Okay, I don't want to jinx it, but
Yeah.
I expect this to be over. So we have, this would be the second result, right? We had, I thought we had a repetition in this section. Oh no, we don't have a repetition in this section. I'm mistaken. We had a repetition in Group A. There was a game that ended in Group A. So do we have any more moves in this game? We do not, but he is in 30 seconds, so he has to make a move, otherwise he's going to flag.
Yeah. He hasn't moved yet, so.
I think it's just kind of coming in terms of the fact that this game is going to be over very soon.
Yeah, sometimes when you have very little time left, like if you have a lot of time, then you'll resign. But you have too little time to resign. I've felt like that before. My position is really bad and I have no time, but I'm like, I have no time, I can't resign. Might as well keep playing.
Just play on adrenaline. So he took on d8, immediately takes back, and he made some other move. Maybe he took on e5. No, rook c3.
Rook e3.
Okay.
Oh yeah, this is actually a nice trick. So if you play queen d1 here, then you can actually not win the game because rook e1 and the knight on e5 and the queen on d1 are hanging. But after a move like oh, and also f6, yeah, doesn't work because of f4.
But if you don't have f6, then you're losing your knight. So f6 has to be played. So if f4, there has to be. Oh, we missed this actually.
Yeah, this is a nice way to keep the game going actually. Oh wait, no, you can play queen. No. I was thinking queen d2 takes in f5, but you just go rook e2 there.
And if rook e2.
Oh, maybe yeah, queen c1 check.
Oh yeah, queen c1 check, you win a piece, and then queen c5 and f4.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Is there an easier way of doing this? Wait, I went too far. Rook c3. So idea was, okay, so we have to play f6, only move, right? The knight cannot move.
Yeah,
this
rook
is
e8.
very unfortunate. Queen d1 check, we said is bad, so f. So he did find a resource, that's really nice, something we completely missed. So f6 has to be played, and now f4.
Yeah, and then is queen d2 the only move? I would be very surprised if that's the case.
Queen d2 the only move.
Oh, actually, yeah, maybe queen b6 here, and if you take, then f5 is the same idea, but it's stronger because you don't even have like a rook block. So the rook on e4 cannot remain on the e file, and once it moves, we just take on e3.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Queen b6 is a really nice move. Let's see if Akshat is going to find it. This is such an unpleasant thing in chess when you think you're winning and then your opponent finds a resource, even if it's not a resource that's saving the game, but something you missed that's just so unpleasant. But he has less than 90 seconds, so it's a minute and a half. So let's see what he's going to play. But f6 has to be played. There's nothing else, at the very least.
Yeah,
because queen d1 is just rook e1.
Yeah, if Akshat doesn't play f6, then he probably won't win the game. And I mean, yeah, probably he will find f6.
Yeah, I don't think he will go for something like this and claim. I don't think he will do this.
Also, positionally, if you play f6 and your opponent has to play f4, that's probably a worse version for white than this position, right? You would rather have the pawn on f2, even if you don't see like queen attacking a rook than f5.
Oh, maybe he missed it. Maybe he won't find this, because he just now he's just playing on seconds. It's 43 seconds. He needs to find. Well, he has to play f6, and then immediately white will respond with f4, only move. And then he has to find this queen b6 or this queen d1, queen d2 idea.
But yeah, shout out to Kantor for making things tricky. Even here, like myself, I might have just resigned, and then I would have lost with no hope. But he's in there with a fight right now.
But I do feel like we should have found this move. Yeah. This was pretty straightforward. Okay, so
he played queen d1. Yeah, queen d1. And then knight f3. So he missed this f6 idea.
Oh no. Oh, he's gonna regret this so much. So knight f3 takes.
Commentator's curse.
Yeah, the second I said he's going to win this, I immediately regretted it. But yeah, he is going to be so upset when he looks at the game after the round. But now, can I take?
Yeah, now it's not clear at all how black is going to win the game.
No, now the bar is just, this is so unfortunate. He is going to be so upset because he didn't even have to go for this bishop c3 move. He could have just played rook c8, but he went for this very concrete line, thinking he's completely winning and missing this rook e3. And this part of chess, where this emotional part of chess is so difficult to deal with when things change. See, he's thinking about it, like I can tell. It's like, what went wrong? This, like, when there is a huge change in the positions, mentally, emotionally, it's so hard to deal with it. And it doesn't matter which way it goes. I think sometimes if it goes, you have a bad position, sometimes you get a good position. It also can be difficult to deal with because it's such a huge change. And then your opponent offers you a draw, and because you were in a bad position for so long, sometimes you just take it because you're just happy to be over it. But like any kind of, this cold shower feeling when you feel like you missed something is just so unpleasant. Yeah. And he's going to be so upset after the game.
It is potentially the worst feeling in the world, going from being like winning to drawing and then drawing to losing. Like, I can't think of a more unpleasant experience
in the world. Well,
yeah, well,
let me tell you.
living a cultural life.
Yeah, there's like a lot of ways to suffer in chess. Chess is, chess can hurt you in a lot of ways for sure. But I think White is going to survive this. It just needs to make it now. But now they both have minute and a half, and they have to make it move 40.
Yeah, they probably will.
This is very unfortunate. Let's move on to other games as we're in time trouble. So we must have time trouble in many games. So actually no, this game is over. So this was our threefold. So we have a draw. Kirk versus Felix, and this game also looks. So black is up a pawn, not the most impressive pawns, and also closer to draw, I think, than anything else. Not because there's just simply not a lot of material left on the board. And in this game, the engine bond tells me that black is doing really well. So what is going on here? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So black is up a pawn, and pawn on d3 looks quite impressive. So what is... I cannot win a pawn.
Yeah, take d2. Oh, it's not possible because e7 is hitting. So bishop g5 maybe? No.
Bishop g5, I think you're happy because you come back. So we want to threaten d2.
Oh, no, we just play bishop c5. Yeah, bishop c5, and if you go bishop e3, then d2. And if you play knight e3, then also d2.
Yeah, d2 just wins everything here, actually. Then you win both pieces.
Yeah.
Okay, so taking the pawn is not possible.
So I've just gotten word that there's a result. So Mikhalevski has defeated Dudin in the B group.
Ooh, that's a lot of queens.
Yeah.
Wait. This is so nice. It's checkmate. Actually, we didn't get a chance to look at this game, but we will take a look at Mikhalevski if he comes for an interview. So the game we're looking at, so we saw this one. So we're expecting at least 2 decisive results. We're expecting 3. Had Akshat converted, but unfortunately that looks like will be a draw. And in this game, black is Dambasuren Batsuren, well, rather Balaji Daggupati versus Dambasuren Batsuren. Black is doing really well. This d5 pawn cannot be taken, and this pawn looks like it's going to be queening. So what does white play? So maybe... Oh no, the Akshat game is over. I'm assuming in a draw. Oh, so disappointing.
Yeah, that was a pretty big miss from Akshat, but it's never easy in time pressure.
No.
Yeah, he doesn't look happy.
No, he's going to check, and he's going to be extremely upset, which is such an unpleasant feeling, but it's just part of chess.
Yep.
And this game, we had a decisive result. And is this game, what is going on? It says that white is out of time. So what happened in this game, actually? Curious to know. And what was this? So this was a Caro-Kann. It's quite a sharp line. Takes e5. So again, we have this French structure we had yesterday, avoiding a queen trade. But against this structure, sometimes this is a bit scary. So the knight goes to g3. The knight wants to land on h5. Black has to play f5 because allowing f5 is too scary. So now we have a very French-like structure, but quite a nice French for black because no light squared bishops. And this bishop is a terrible piece, especially that white has put a pawn on f4. So white immediately plays f5, but runs into tactically e5 because taking is impossible.
It's a very nice move.
Rook c4 is also a really nice move because after takes, you still cannot take bishop c5. So rook c1, but simply picks up a pawn. So knight e4, and we are where we landed. So I wonder if there's some issue with the DGT because I'm not sure black would resign here. For example, if I go here, I mean, if white would resign here, because if I go king f1, what do you do? Can you take even maybe here?
Yeah, I think I'm just losing a piece.
Yeah, it looks like these pawns are just, I mean, this.
Well,
whoops.
Yeah.
In my mind, I took c1, so takes, but okay, two connectors, bishop g5 is coming. Just a very simple win. There has to be. So this game, we will find out what happened in this game, and.
Yeah, do you want to take a look at Christopher's game real quick? always back on Christopher.
Actually, let me update it. So we have a lot of moves. So we left off here. So bishop went to d2. So this is a trade that black would be very happy with. But even here, with the presence of rooks, white can still press. But of course, shouldn't allow a trade when they're opposite side color bishops. So knight went to c6. Bishop e6, e4. Now white is making some progress. The problem with this knight just getting kicked around. And this is the problem when you don't have an outpost for a knight. It's just getting harassed on the board.
I have gotten word that Dambasuren has actually defeated Daggupati. So in Group B, that game was, black. Sorry, white resigned.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe he just thought he just can't find a move and didn't want to play this terrible position anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense. What happened to Ari Val? Oh, Ari Valbar is going higher and higher. Yeah, again, the problem with knights in this open positions when there's a bishop, they just get kicked around. Because if I come back and take this, like this knight is just not finding a square. And white will play g4, h4, and g5, either h5 or g5 or just g5. And create a pass pawn at some point. And
I quite like the move g4 in these 4v3 structures. Even if there were no pieces left on the board, I think that black's defensive task becomes much harder if white can achieve the move g4. Black would really like to already have the move h5 on the board in this sort of position.
That's why I was going back to this move. Maybe h5 was the better option.
Yeah.
And just not allowing this g4 expansion. Because g4, as you mentioned, is very strong in these positions. And actually quite annoying for black to deal with. Because the problem for black also, black needs to find moves. And it's actually not so simple to find a move in this position. For example, if you go to rook c8, I don't have a check. Okay, but I'll go probably knight d4. And at some point I might just take this bishop. And if you
when I
move this knight. For example, if you do something like this and not cover this square, this is already, oh no.
Knight d3, yeah.
That did not work.
But still, like for,
okay,
the point is the 7th rank becomes so much weaker once the structure is changed like this.
Yeah, and at some point, white will play knight d4 and try to take this bishop and again claim that, actually not even take the bishop, but threaten to take the bishop and then claim that this knight doesn't have a square. Also possible that maybe I can play something like, or at least defend this g4 pawn. Like let's say if I can play h4, defend this pawn, then f4, f5 after moving this bishop and claim that these pieces don't have any squares to go to and just kick them around. So this is actually quite a difficult defensive task ahead of black. And I do feel like white has made a lot of progress. Wait, he actually played h4, but now this allows us to play h5, and I think this is quite helpful.
Yeah, that's an interesting decision. I just got news that Mishra and Gledura have made a draw, which makes sense because
I think we knew this, right?
Ago.
Yeah,
okay.
we thought this was a repetition. So this game also ended in a draw, so we have 1, 2 draws, and
this game
4 against 3. So something went wrong for Sevian.
Yes.
So let's see where we left off. We left off here. So a5, d4 was played. This is the final position we saw, and then a5. And he took, no, he didn't take. He went h4. Oh, black took. Takes. Of course, this is just too unpleasant. Also loses a pawn. But yeah, this expansion can be very scary because now the rook comes in and things start to get loose.
Yeah.
So c5, this was your move, right? You wanted to do something like this.
Yeah.
But I think here concretely,
Right
black has good
rank.
counterplay. And rook d8, so d5. So this was, again, your idea. And, okay, so I think something is going to hang here, right? Rook a5. And now I cannot move this knight because this pawn hangs. So now it becomes difficult to defend everyone. So rook b2. So he defends the pawn instead of exchanging. And knight f6. So take. Yeah, and now we see some problems in the position.
This is the downside of having this structure, is the later and later you get in the game, the worse it becomes.
So we have a 4 versus 3. So what kind of a 4 versus 3 is this? I think this pawn structure is actually nice for white because it's very difficult to create a passed pawn. Because if you play something like this is not the kind of 2 versus 1. For example, wait, I'm gonna try to make moves without hanging things. You go g5.
Yeah.
So you create 2 versus 1. This is not a 2 versus 1 I'm very afraid of. Also some activity for my king. Because if we take this pawns off the board, this is a very easy draw.
Yeah, I don't know. So practically though, instead of exchanging pawns, I was thinking maybe I can move my rook away, and it would be dangerous if I can get king f5, e4 in. Like, I guess you have to meet king f5 with e4 all the time because...
Well, I can maybe put my king on e4 myself.
Yeah, sorry. So instead of rook d3, like rook a5 or something to that effect. Maybe you have to go rook b6 here because king f5, e4 is actually white is winning the game.
That's very funny. So you have to go back and...
But yeah, if you don't play rook b6 and you allow me to play king f5 and I get to the g4 square, I think you might end up in trouble.
But I wonder if now I can maybe do this. But now here you can actually try to play f5. So in this position, when you go here, or... So here, yeah, I have to play rook b6. Okay, white still has... Oh, of course, black can just play this for a long time. But I think this pawn being here is actually quite... Like this pawn structure, especially with the pawn h4, h5, this is quite favorable for white.
Yeah, for sure these 4v3s with h4, h5 exchange is usually beneficial for the defender.
And the last game that we had... Okay, so this game actually went down as we were expecting it. So in this position, we saw knight f5, queen went here, so we predicted all of this. Queen went to g6, offering a trade. This is actually interesting offer of trade because d3 also hangs here. Can you take? Oh, he did take. This is so scary because you're back rank. Rook c1, and he goes back. This is very cold-blooded, but... So queen e4, king g1, queen f5. And what's the material? The material is now equal. Still some problems with this king, but maybe if I can, if I can get in like h5, h4, maybe I can be happy. So where should I go with this rook? Maybe I want to defend my a4 move. I wanted to defend my 7 rank, so okay, I don't get mated, and yeah. I wanted to maybe try h5, h4. The thing is, you also cannot get too active here.
Right, queen f3 might eventually be
Yeah,
I.
like something like even this. I don't know, because
Yeah,
the thing is, if you
do
check-
control a lot of squares. And then king g4. Yeah, you could lose the game, queen f7, king g4. That's that would be unfortunate.
Yeah, this would be very funny. So queen a5 is played, so we reach move 40. So now the players get additional 30 minutes. I would expect black to spend some time here. Maybe a4 was actually a bigger threat after this, so maybe this is something to deal with and not give up this pawn.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure how you deal with that. You can't play rook b7 because queen a8 would pick up a rook, and rook d5 also seems scary.
Oh, here this might actually get mated.
Yeah, and but we might run into the same issue, right? Like if we keep checking black's king, then black king will end up on g4, and like how bad can it actually be?
Because h7 is again defended. Okay.
King h5 and then king g4, yeah.
Okay, so okay, something to consider, because a4 seems to be some kind of a threat in the position. I don't want to put my rook here, it's very passive here. So maybe it's rook d5 immediately, so not allow a4 at all, possibility.
It feels so scary to abandon your king that way, but
if you put your rook c8 is not a check even. So rook c8 was only a check because my rook was on d7. But yeah, if I start cutting you off on the 7 rank, and this looks a bit scary, but maybe queen d7. Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to, and I'm finding all of them to lose this game. And now this hangs, and there's back rank mate. Okay, this did not go well for us.
Too many squares for white there.
Yeah, actually, maybe black has to be somewhat precise here. But practically, I think white easier to play with white, because this king immediately is weaker than this king. And with the queens on the board and their heavies on the board, it's quite scary.
Yeah, the more moves you make, the more I'm convinced I'd lose with either color.
Yeah. Well, I think for white to lose, they have to try, but for black, they can just kind of maybe make an inaccuracy. For example, if I play a4, and then if I move my queen with a tempo somewhere, and then go a5, then all of a sudden I have a passed pawn. So it can be a bit tricky there. So this game I wanted to check. Okay, so we're just maybe shuffling a bit. And this game was over, and Christopher Yu game.
Still pressing. Oh, black gave him the option. Oh, so black has traded pawns. How did black manage to do that?
So we saw this, right? Oh, h4, he went f5. Which is another reason to, but maybe he was he afraid of this move? But this move looks so dangerous for me, because if I go h4, this pawn may not be able to live for too long. But instead he played f5, so trade, and the safety of this king without this pawn actually worries me. Like if my bishop could somehow go to e5, this would be really devastating. Actually, I'm really concerned about this king, even with so few pieces left on the board. And then now maybe I can play rook c7 and ask where this knight is going, and ask where this bishop is going.
If the knight leaves the c4 square, then the bishop on f4 will find nice squares. Like anywhere on the long diagonal, I think would be pretty nice for white right now.
So where does this bishop go? Let's say I go to g6.
Yeah, rook c7, like you were pointing out.
Let's say here. Oh.
Yeah.
Great.
Fork.
Okay, so I have to go here. These pieces are moving on their own. Like I touch a piece and then it just lands on a square. Maybe knight b2 is also possible. Maybe there's also might be some safety. No, this king will be very safe on h3. I don't have to worry about this king.
Yeah, maybe bishop. Yeah, bishop d6, g4.
G4, and then maybe.
Yeah, I think you should play. Well, it's so double-edged to play h5. On the one hand, you stop me from playing h5, because if you don't play h5, I'm going to play h5. On the other hand, if f4, f5 comes as you're pointing out, you might just lose the game.
Yeah, immediately resigns. Okay, so the position that we have is bishop went to e6. So if I go rook c7 with my very mysterious threat. What do you do? So you cannot go here, right? It's the same trick.
Yeah.
So the knight has to start moving away. So it has to go. This is the only square, right? Your knight cannot go here. This is ridiculous. So you have to go here.
Right. And then bishop.
But now I have
right?
bishop e. Oh no, I don't. I already blundered this one.
Bishop e5. Yeah.
Okay, bishop d6 and now g4, right? Now you cannot go. Now I will go here. Like this knight, the safety of this knight actually worries me because your knight can possibly get trapped, not trapped at least, like pushed to the other side of the board and just never come back. This knight is just not secure.
If h5 here, do you take it or do you play g5?
No.
What would you do?
What would I do? Maybe take it? Oh no, it's a free pawn. At least you can claim I have 2 pawns.
That's fair.
Yeah, but maybe.
And if you don't
actually, we have to calculate because g5 fell. If I have f4, f5 coming,
right,
then this might just be a win.
Yeah, I mean, so computers giving like very, or not like huge numbers for white, but I think like practically this is going to be really tough for black to defend.
Yeah, this is a very tough position to play. So what did he play? He played g4. So, and he has twice as much time on the clock. And the problem is for black is they also have to think about the margin of error. How many opportunities do you have to make inaccurate moves and get away with it, or does every move need to be precise? So, for example, this again, right, loses a piece. I've lost this piece on the 6th rank. Found so many ways to lose a piece. Like black has to make a move. What does black play in this position? Because you cannot go back, right? Knight goes to f5, so
right,
this immediately just bad.
If the knight goes to f5 and hits all the pawns on the king side, I can't imagine black's going to be okay.
So my threat is to play rook c7. And if you go here,
knight b6 or c6 again, yeah.
And so what do? I want to. So process of elimination, right? Black. So I cannot move the bishop. Can I move the bishop here? This looks very sad. Maybe I need to stay on this diagonal. Now we're figuring it out because I cannot allow knight f5. Knight f5 was just game over. Yeah, so I have to stay on this diagonal.
And now, finally, after rook c7, I can play a move that's not knight b2.
Can go to b6.
Finally, the knight can go to b6 without losing a piece.
We found it.
Yeah.
So, but here I'll probably play king g3 to avoid any kind of forks. And again, black has to find a move. What do? So maybe knight b6.
Yeah, bishop d6. Yes.
I'm gonna play bishop e5. Can I play? Do I want to play g5? No, I don't want to trade pawns. It also feels like black is gonna get mated here. Like if I go here, like trade, and then somehow feels like you might even get mated, even though like trading pawns just makes no sense.
Yeah,
maybe knight.
The reason why I was thinking bishop d6 was I thought that your f4, f5 might be useful here as well. Maybe I'm allowing rook e3 or something to that effect.
Yeah, maybe some activity. Oh, and then g4 might hang.
Yeah, it has to be timed slightly better. Yeah, okay, yeah. If we can play bishop
like
e5.
e5.
Let's put all our pieces on e5.
Yes. So g4, black has to make a move. And this, I think this is the most difficult part. You know, you have some kind of a setup, right? And you have the defensive setup, but then you have to make a move, which means a piece has to move from one of these defensive squares. And there are not that many squares to go to because we're only playing on this side of the board. There's nothing on the queen side. So black's position is very tough. It's actually, I really like watching this kind of games because I think my technique is not very strong. So when I see strong players converting this kind of positions, I think it's so instructive just to see how they do it because they don't do anything not precise, too concrete. They just kind of make moves, make improving moves, and asking your opponent every move, like make a move. And you give them a chance to make their position worse because they also have to make decisions, and just sitting for a very long time is so difficult.
Yeah, for sure. And, maybe you don't think of Christopher as like a very technical player, especially after his last 2 rounds. But I mean, he's a 2600 Grandmaster, and I don't think there's a 2600 Grandmaster out there with like very bad technique.
No, definitely not. So black to move has to find. But black has moved, but I cannot. I'm gonna click on a different game and come back to see black's move. Rook e7. This is a move we did not consider. So this trade, black is thrilled with this trade. This rook is so annoying. And in general, whenever you have opposite colored bishops, rooks give you huge chances to win. Without rooks, we know a lot of positions down a pawn, down 2 pawns they are drawn. But once we add a pair of rooks, huge chances for the pawn for the side that's pressing. So after rook e7, where is this rook going? So I can check.
Yeah, I actually think in any type of position where you have, well, okay, chess is a concrete game, so there are going to be exceptions to this. But when you're playing the defensive side of a position, you want different kinds of pieces. Like if you have a bishop, you want your opponent to have a knight. If you have a knight, you want them to have a bishop so that you can control like one color complex and they control the other. And the worst case is with opposite bishops because one side just controls one color and then you control one color, and that's how progress doesn't get made.
On the other hand, when you're attacking, opposite color bishops are so useful. Because if you
Right.
attack on the same color as your bishop, your opponent's bishop is just useless cannot do anything. It's so interesting how small things in a position can completely change the what's important. So what do we have here? So rook e7. I can check you. Of course, you can. No, you cannot. Okay,
Yeah.
I plundered the bishop. So here you go king f7, but now this worries me a bit because if I go here, what do you do?
No, but we can still go rook d7, right? The knight is still controlling e5, I think.
So can I go? My idea was to do this and take.
Yeah,
Okay.
rook e7 is actually a really nice defensive move by black. I mean,
Rook
showing
e7.
showing his defensive technique. Christopher showing his offensive technique, but Daniel showing that it's not so easy to make progress with white either.
But I think I like this rook a6. I also like this rook a6, and maybe king f7 can be met with rook c6. So a lot of, again, very annoying for black to play this position and to try to find moves that are not going to result in some kind of in something terrible where everything hangs, as I keep hanging these pieces. So we will have an interview very shortly, but I will quickly take a look at where we are. So we have in this position, in Bog's game, he played rook e8. Sam Sevian versus Taro, this 4 versus 3. Not a lot of, not many changes. This game has ended. Christopher Yu we've been looking at, and we also see this game has ended. And in Group B, we know we have several results already. So we know Akshat drew, a really disappointing result. Kirk was also draws, and Viktor Mikhalevski winning his second game of the tournament. And we do have him in the studio, so welcome back. Congratulations. We actually didn't get a chance to look at your game, so we can look at it together. So let's go to your game, and please tell us where is your preparation, what were you expecting?
I expected bishop b4 check this line, but I didn't expect a5 already, because he mostly played bishop d6 before. So that's what I prepared, but a5, I couldn't remember any theory here, so bishop g2. I just knew some ideas, but nothing concrete. So yeah, queen c2, yeah. I assume it's all theory, but...
Well, I think the good thing is your moves are so natural, right?
Yes,
Even if you don't know theory, your pieces just have their designated
yeah, it's
squares.
a typical Catalan compensation for the pawn.
And b5.
Yeah, but sometimes if you don't really know, you may end up a pawn down, and so...
Also turn on this. Okay, so he hangs on to the pawn. b3
yes.
is also very typical for
Yeah,
Catalan.
all of this is very typical, but then I don't know if white... I mean, white has compensation for sure, but I don't know if it's enough for anything, like for any advantage or...
And b4. What do you think about allowing this pass pawn?
It's also typical to allow b4. B takes a4 is another possible idea, I thought.
And then put a bishop on b5.
Yes, so I would have
allowed.
probably taken on a6, and then,
Thanks.
yeah, then probably just take.
Okay, so b4 was played.
Yeah.
Knight f5.
Yeah, it looks a little scary to allow knight c3, but anyway, I cannot stop it, so... Yeah, it's important that bishop takes e2 tactics don't work. Because rook e2, queen d4,
Queen d4.
knight b3, I'm protecting everything, like my rook on a1 and the knight.
Nice.
Knight
So
e2,
with the
queen
idea-
e2, and this should be good. Yeah.
Okay, so then queen e7
Queen
went.
e7, yeah, I thought for a long time before playing e3, looks like a very complicated position. I considered bishop e4 idea to provoke g6, because if he exchanges the knight, I thought it will be good for me, just queen takes.
Just
His
complete
pieces are really
dominance.
bad. But he just plays g6. Basically, his idea is to play f6 at some point.
Yeah, kick this knight away.
Yeah, and
Okay, so you just want to provoke g6 just to give some
yeah, and
weaknesses.
then after f6, I want to take knight c6. So I didn't know. Maybe to provoke g6, and then after f6, still knight takes c6.
Instead, you play e3, you reinforce your center.
Yeah, and the e2 pawn is not hanging in some lines.
Mhm.
So now I take, rook a7. If rook c8, then I have bishop d7. And rook takes c5, d takes c5, my bishop is protected. But
Very nice.
I wasn't sure even this position he may have compensation, like rook c5, d c5, queen c5, bishop e6, king h8. My light squares are a little weak, and the knight on c3 is pretty strong. So
You have you have a tactic here. I mean, tactically, you bring your bishop back.
yeah. I
because if
didn't
yeah,
see
this is
bishop
scary.
d5. Yeah, yeah, then it's probably good.
Okay, so instead he went rook a7, stopping any bishop d7, queen b3. So you did win your pawn back, but at this
Yeah,
you
but
got
his
rid of this
position
knight.
still looks fine. I think bishop c8. His idea is to just play e5 at some point, so king h8, and he wants to play e5. So I thought I need to exchange the strong knight on c3.
Mhm. So he really wants to have something on c3.
Yeah, so rook c2, rook c1 runs into knight e2, of course.
Yeah, it's a nice tactic. Yeah.
So rook c2, he takes. Yeah, f5. Yeah, somehow I believe black should be fine here.
So how did you evaluate this position?
Probably about equal, but I'm
Mhm.
not even sure who is playing for a win in this position.
Because you have immediate rook c1.
Computer shows it's better for black, right?
Yeah.
It could be, yeah.
So he went rook c1, bishop d7, rook c5. Okay, so if you take this pawn, you'll be quite happy. You did take this pawn. That's
Yeah,
actually
he-
impossible to defend this, right? Maybe
Yeah.
rook c8 with rook c3.
Yeah, then I go queen b2. So yeah, I wasn't sure about this position. So rook c8, I thought I can take on a5.
You want to take on a5?
Maybe if it's possible, I don't know.
Mm.
Like rook c1, bishop f1, I wasn't sure about this.
Oh, this looks very scary for you, I have
It
to
looks a
say.
little scary, but I have a threat of rook c5, queen b4.
Okay.
So he should do something. He doesn't have time for e5, f4 stuff. Like,
So I have to move this queen.
yeah, like queen d6, and then, yeah, I don't know if I can untangle somehow.
Okay, so
Queen b2, maybe it's it.
okay, so you went queen d6 immediately.
Yeah, so
he
I took rook c8 and h4.
Okay,
I
so
thought
now
now
the
it
check is
should
not
be-
square.
Should be okay for me, but it's still very concrete because he has rook c3, queen b6, b3 ideas. I cannot take the rook because of b2. So
So here.
queen b6, but then I thought maybe rook a8, a5.
It's becoming some kind of a pawn race. But this looks very good for you already.
Probably. I can even play a6, a7, rook h8. That's my threat.
Yeah, it's a very strong threat.
Yeah.
Kind of fun.
Yeah, the
So
pawn
queen
runs
b6.
fast. So he played first queen b6, rook e5.
And then rook c. He checked you first. But this check is it helpful for you?
He went to a1 just to stop my idea of a5. He just said that he missed rook c3, a5. I have this intermediate move. If he plays instead of rook c1 check.
a5 is very strong.
Yeah,
And
then if takes, queen takes c3, and the queen e5, queen b4, I'm up a pawn.
Oh, very nice. And a nice structure.
Yeah.
Slightly weaker king.
This is very nice, but
Oh, sorry, I went too fast.
yeah. So yeah, d5, I think, yeah, should be played.
And bishop a4 runs
Queen
into
b2,
and you take, and
yeah, it should be good for me. So here probably it's already good for white. So d6. I assumed it should win, and he was also in the time trouble.
It's impossible to stop this, actually.
Queen d6, no, he can stop, because if queen d5, rook d1.
Ah, very nice. And if here
Yeah, he just takes, yeah.
So you want queen f7 with huge threats, so rook d1 anyways.
Yeah.
And now you're just checkmating,
Uh,
right?
He said that he could play queen f6 in this position. I'm not sure how to proceed here. There should be some way, but...
So here, and... Yeah, this pawn is actually kind of dangerous too, right?
Yeah, but I should have something. Maybe e4? No, I don't know.
Maybe you can bring this bishop.
Uh-huh. What is computer suggesting here?
h5, p3, bishop f1.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it
So I
doesn't
have
care
time?
about giving a...
Uh-huh.
Oh, it
Because
actually
checkmating.
says even if you...
Yeah, and back probably, yeah? And then there is still this
and
big threat of checkmate.
unstoppable, and yeah, this is very powerful.
Yeah, so probably I'm still winning, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
So he went rook d2.
But then I win by force, queen e8, bishop f5 and d8.
Queen d8, very nice.
Because queen d8, queen g6. Yeah, rook f2, king h3 doesn't change anything. If queen
Yeah,
d8, queen
right.
g6, and queen
Yeah, this is
h7,
very nice.
checkmate.
Wow, very nice game. Well, congratulations. So now you're in the lead with 3 points.
No, I have 2.5. I lost yesterday.
Oh, yeah, you lost yesterday. Okay. And who do you play tomorrow?
I have no idea.
Okay. Then we won't spoil it for you. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on your win.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's continue looking at the other games. So let's go back to Group A, the important game we had of Christopher Yu. So a few moves have been made. So knight d4 has been made, bishop e6. The pawn went to g4, rook e7, rook a6. So this is where we left off, king f7 and h5. So again, the same position, the same problem as before, that Black needs to find moves, and not a very long battle ahead for Black to defend this. And in Samuel Sevian's game versus Dariusz, not much has changed. Very few moves have been made. So this 4 versus 3. So now this f7 pawn is under attack, which means this king is not free to move. The king cannot go to f5, as Julian was pointing out, with the idea of e4, because this pawn is hanging. And in B group, we have one game going. So this is the only game we have going, I believe. And we saw this position a long time ago, and here it's starting to look a bit better for Black. I think Black can just pick up a pawn. Is there something? Am I missing something? But maybe still a lot of compensation for White associated with this this pawn. Something like here, and maybe pick up some pawns and go into some kind of a 2 versus 1 endgame, possibly. It just seems like these pawns are falling, and can point out some funny lines again.
Yeah, so it seems very likely that in the B group that Gergely Kantor will remain in the lead, because unfortunately Akshat missed his chance to overtake him, and it also seems very likely that in the A group everybody who was leading before will still be leading now.
Let's take a look at the standings and see where we are after the results of today. So we have 2 draws so far in Group A, which puts Yasser Quesada half a point ahead of the pack, but we do expect at least a few players to join him, and it's possible that Christopher Yu will win his game and will become the clear leader. And in Group B, it doesn't look like we had too many changes, as Gergely Kantor stays ahead. As we pointed out, his opponent, Akshat Chandra, did not manage to win that game, which I'm sure he's going to be very upset about. And there is now a pack of players, 4 players, chasing him by half a point.
So yeah, be sure to tune in tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we'll be covering all of the games from Groups A and B. Have a good one.
This has been a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club. Any reproduction or distribution of this content without the express written consent of the St. Louis Chess Club is prohibited.